So what am I all about? Well, I don't stand exclusively on any party political platform. That's not to say I don't vote. But my vote may be tactical. It may be a choice based on a number of different issues outside of Manifesto. I've never seen any evidence that our system selects for the best representatives of either progressive or conservative camps. I think that our system rewards successful marketing of leaders. When you vote, you're not really voting for a set of policies. You're voting for an outsourced American PR consultancy. That's what we voted for with Tony Blair. And that's what people voted for with Brexit. Nobody understood the real meaning or consequences of the referendum, but they understood take back control. Policy is sold to you in the same way that every other major product is, by people who know how to unlock the power of consumer psychology. That's not an inherently evil process in itself, but when the aim is the acquisition of power more than it is the public benefit, then the devil isn't far behind. Of course, many politicians from all walks start off with ideas about how to make the world better. But as soon as they enter a system that rewards making fantastic promises above making intelligible sense in good faith, then good intentions begin to fork off into the dark side. And we incentivize this, we encourage this by being drawn without a second thought to promises that echo our daily frustrations. For politicians to be honest about costs and transparent about agendas doesn't pay well for them. It doesn't sell to us. It's not that people are averse to that kind of honesty so much as they're bored by it. We don't have the time to really listen, so the news had better be exciting. Historically, British politicians haven't been very good at exciting people. So that job, the job of exciting people, is handed over to advertisers, the people that sell you energy drinks. Okay, so I'm against, let's call it the low integrity bar set by our leaders. But what am I for? What's my prescription for this? Well, I'm for the long view. When you vote or converse or decide how you feel about a particular idea, I prescribe getting into the habit of imagining a game of chess. A game of chess in which your opponent is the outcome of our great-great-grandchildren. I prescribe thinking many moves ahead. Soon America will be having an election. This, I absolutely guarantee you, will be an occasion for violence. Rioting will intensify, as will sentiments of party allegiance. People are going to die. People are going to die on the news, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you are one of the people that is going to die because of the election, then maybe you might want to think about the events that are going to lead up to your death. Whether you're on the left or on the right, the essential sentiment is going to be the same, and it reads something like, "I've had enough of this." And that's kind of a shame, because you're going to die in opposition of a thing that is never going to end. So it's going to be an empty sacrifice. The left will never go away. The right will never go away. Religion will never go away. Atheism will never go away. Bigotry will never go away. Evil and cruelty will never go away. And the sooner you get that into your head, the sooner you will be able to effectively mitigate against those things. These angry expressions of social justice that we're seeing are a projection. It's people saying, it's not me, it's you. Now, that doesn't mean that they should shut up. If you're on the radical left, you don't have to shut up. You can be a hypocrite and still have something valuable to say. So let's not get hung up on that. Let's look at what's beneficial. And the long-term benefit of thought has a relationship to the length of consideration. Now you might say, well, these social justice issues have been articulated for decades. How much more consideration does there have to be? To which I would say, yes, we do have a long history of progressive thought. So let's look at the best of it. Let's not look at the loudest and most recent. You need to adjust your relationship with time. Whatever we have that's effective today, and we do have a great deal that's effective, owes its existence to people who lived long before any of us were born. And in the far future, people will say the same thing of us. What did we leave for them? So what are you going to leave for them? You might opt out and say, I'm not going to leave anything. It's got nothing to do with me. Well, that choice is not yours to make. Because every time you speak, every time you act, you are pushing memes into the future. Some of those memes will be selected for, and they'll last. Some of them will not. But you have no way of knowing which. And so, whatever you say and think, you'd better make sure that those items are the best things you can say and think, because you have no idea whether or not one day they might come to dominate society. It is in that long term that your actions today have the most powerful influence. If you feel powerless, it's probably because you are powerless. But only powerless over tomorrow. On the grand scale, if humanity persists for millions and, let's hope, billions of years, then it's inevitable that at some stage the turn for your ideas will come. You're a seed. You'll only ever be a seed, and no one ever gets to see the real fruit in their own lifetime. If that makes you feel impotent, then consider this. Which is grander? To have an influence on tomorrow or to have an influence on the cosmos? Because you have none of the former, but all of the latter. Behave as if the future of the world is at stake. Avoid short-term goals that are purely optical. The best structures have the most stable foundations, and yet are able to weather changes. And you can build them by imagining as many consequences as you can. So be thorough. Here's some advice for progressives. Put all of your efforts into assembling the best manifesto you can. Galvanize all your friends and allies around it. Do a first draft, a second, a third, and fourth, until you arrive at something that is representative beyond reasonable doubt. Not beyond conceivable doubt, because you can never achieve that, just beyond reasonable doubt. Let yourself accept that that is the best you can do. That shouldn't be a problem for you, since part of progressive culture is accepting that your position is transitional, which is good, because all of our positions are transitional. It's just a case of varying timescales. No one is unpersuadable if you're prepared to give the time. I absolutely guarantee that. I'm a proud, vain, and base man, culturally impoverished by a working-class upbringing. So if I can be persuaded by a radically different point of view, then you can too. Once you have your manifesto, considering all of the above, then put all your resources into promotion and advertisement. And remember that you are asking for something. People don't owe you their time, and they don't owe you their understanding, no matter how obvious you think your moral cause is. You have to persuade them. So, show them the benefits of your point of view, which should be obvious to anyone who's listening if you've put your argument together properly. Ultimately, if people aren't going to do what you want them to do, it's less likely that it's because they're evil, and much more likely that you haven't been persuasive. You haven't convinced them to change, to surrender the status quo. And that's not their problem. It's yours. For conservatives, my advice would be this. Try to read between the emotive lines of media discourse and fathom what it is that's actually being said. Movements don't express frustration over nothing. Also, give everyone free money.